You ever feel like you're consuming lots of motivational content and you're getting pumped up and you're learning all these things and you got the right mindset, but you're just not getting your dreams off the ground, whether that's a business or some other goal? Let's get into why it's a problem, and by the end, I promise you to give you a real practical, grounded solution. You can get stuck in these loops where with motivational content, it will be a reward in itself. It's almost a dopamine rush to have someone tell you how to do these big things and then feel like you can actually accomplish it. You get so motivated that it's a reward, and then when your motivation kind of falls off, you want to watch more material and get that rush again. And I think it can be a trap. I think you can get motivated, and if you don't make incremental progress along the way, you can end up in a spot where you're like, I've just been spinning my wheels, this isn't going anywhere. The way that you break it, the solution to that is that you focus on doing and incrementally improving every day. Make that the first thing. With my videos, and I've said this in other videos, I'm making them and then I'm incrementally improving. I got a lot of room to grow, but I'm also doing my research. I'm just doing it afterwards. The doing comes first, and that actually makes me come up with a list of questions that are very focused on the roadblocks that I'm running into and actually doing this. And then I can research those specific questions and overcome them one at a time, feel a sense of progress, like I'm getting there, and hopefully get my dopamine reward off of actual progress instead of the dream of how big and how great it could be. And for some people, I think it might even stifle a little bit because the dreams can be too big. I mentioned before that I like Alex Hormozi. He's accomplished so much that to think that you could be that successful all at once, it might be a little much for some of us to take, myself included. I can't imagine being at that hundreds of millions of dollars level. That's not to say that we couldn't get there, but I think that the approach to take is to just focus on habit forming. So it's like you want to form the habits of doing something, because that's what you are at the end of the day, is the combination of your actions every day. So if you can change your habits and make them in line with starting that business or whatever goal you have, that's going to be better. You can incrementally improve. Your dreams can get bigger as you actually go. It's easier to see. It doesn't feel overwhelming and like it's beyond you, because it's just, you're kind of walking to the end of that road, and then you can see a little farther, and you're walking. And consistency and incremental improvement is what I've personally seen in my life with very successful business people, very successful athletes, whatever their field is. They all seem to take that approach. And so I think that's a more practical approach. And I suggest that people do that. I thought I'd tack on a story to this video. I was thinking about how when I started real estate, I started very young, but I probably read for a year and a half every real estate book I could get my hands on before I was brave enough to start investing. I didn't have to wait that long. So many of those books are telling you why it's smart to invest in real estate. They're explaining the leverage, the tax benefits, that you can create passive income, increase net worth, all the cliche kind of things that you've heard if that's something you've looked into. And it's packaged in different ways. And I'm reading the same information over and over with maybe a little spin or a little additional information. But when I actually just decided that's it, I'm never going to feel completely ready. And I bought my first place. It was a HUD foreclosure, and it was needed a lot of work. And I didn't even know how to do the work at the time. And I said, I'm just going to learn by doing this. I've read enough to think that it's a good idea. And so I bought this house, and I learned how it was actually a VA foreclosure, not a HUD foreclosure. And I ended up learning so much about renovation. I didn't have the money to hire it all out at the time. So one by one, I just started learning how to do these things. And that ended up serving me later, even when I was flipping homes. Then I had the experience to manage people better, to know if they were giving me reasonable quotes, and to know if they knew what they were doing. As far as renting it out, it gave me experience. It made me actually sit down and think about what I wanted in my lease and form one that could then become the template for the ones that followed. It became a baseline for the kind of money I could actually make as compared to theory. And then I could look at other real estate investments compared to that one and try to take a step up. It laid the foundation, the real foundation, for years of investing afterwards. And so that was one of those things where I was truly addicted. And they used to advertise it more. It was more like, boobs and Bugattis kind of thing to get you attracted to that lifestyle and to sell more of the books and more of the courses and things. But it was the doing that got me there, and it was the doing that broke me out of it. And it was what made me comfortable with taking the next step and the next step, becoming more comfortable with things like commercial real estate. I don't think if I hadn't started with some of these smaller homes, I would have been comfortable with it. I don't think I would have been comfortable flipping houses in a short time span had I not started with that house. So don't let the motivation stifle you. Get out there, do something, incrementally improve, and you're going to pull ahead of that version of yourself in another universe that just kept reading.